corporate, and economy. We are all fighting and facing the challenges, and are very sure that we will find opportunities in this time. Let us not see the dark effect, but find an opportunity in the every problem we identify. Yesterday's session, we had Mr. Pramod Dafaria with us, Association of Industries, President, Association of Industries, Madhya Pradesh. Another speaker we had with us, Dr. Bharat Rawat. Let me just get you through the brief what we had yesterday. We discussed about the new normal which India will be having as suggested by Dr. Bharat Rawat, and remembering the MDH, the mask, the distancing and the hand sanitizing, the three basic things which we need to follow in the new normal which India will be going through. So, and the lifestyle habits which we all discussed. So for the today's session, we would be going ahead with Mr. V. Swaminathan. Sir, I will just go through to the introduction of our guest today. The first speaker for the session, Mr. V. Swaminathan, is Joint President at Kotak Mahindra Bank. It is based in their corporate office in Mumbai, and he is handling the multiple businesses currently. He is a postgraduate in finance and marketing and has been a Kotak veteran for over 25 years now. He is a senior member at Kotak Bank leadership team. His journey in Kotak has been through various diverse business, which includes car finance, asset management, mutual funds, investment banking, asset management companies, and many others, including corporate salary business. Besides this, he has also handled the TASC segment and now handles the large government business segment and the gold loan business for Kotak Mahindra Group. Besides mentoring many young professionals in Kotak, Mr. Swaminathan is also an avid reader and counts the following the interlinking of the economic and political system and tracking policy making as his hobby. He is also a sports enthusiast and believes remaining fit in the mind and body is a key business mantra for the success. So on behalf of CDGI family, I welcome you, sir, for the conference, and I hand over the session to you to take it forward. Thank you, sir. Welcome you.
Thank you, Dr. Varun Kesri. First of all, a big thanks to Dr. Suhas Dande and Dr. Varun Kesri for inviting me to speak today. When I spoke to both of you, I understand we have a cross-section of people across diverse fields, which includes professors, academicians, students, plenty of research analysts are on this video call, I understand. A big hi to all of you and a warm welcome on a Sunday morning. Dr. Varun, is my voice audible? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So I just picked up from what you said. You had two good sessions yesterday. One was really what is being hotly discussed today is on MSME, where we are currently and what is the future lie for the MSME sector, which clearly is the growth engine for our economy. That's number one. And number two, of course, I think you people spend some time in terms of understanding the personal well-being, social well-being, etc. I'm sure these are two good sessions that you had, and there's a lot of takeaways. Now, what I would like to do is over the next 20-25 minutes, try to spend some time on the financial markets in general, right? Because I'm expected to talk on the financial markets. And especially, we know we are in this unprecedented times. Speak for about 20-25 minutes. And then subsequently, we'll take Q&A from the audience if there are any. Is that right, Dr. Varun? That's the format. So even as let me set the context. We are going through unprecedented times. There's enough on newspapers, there's enough on TV, there's enough on what we called as WhatsApp University. There's enough and more information about COVID and what happens. But very clearly for all of us, what I would like to highlight is we all have read while growing up about two eras, two periods, which is before Christ, BC, and after Christ, after death of Christ, that is AD. What COVID is bringing to us is three periods: before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. Again, before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. And very clearly, before COVID effectively was the period around the 15th of March. Of course, we went into a lockdown from 25th onwards, and most of us have been at home. But pre-COVID era is something that all of us know, all of us lived through. But what we are really grappling through in our daily lives is really during COVID, and what is life after COVID? Is there life at all after COVID? These are fundamental questions. And probably I'm assuming the average age group and in this list of participants would be about 35, 40, or probably even slightly more. You know, what the during COVID period has taught us in this last 40 days, 40, 45 days, is something that we would have never learned in the last 45 years. What is the average age? And I think it's important that all of us step back, gather, and figure out ways and means to the strategy to work out what do we need to do during COVID period and after COVID period. The way I would like to break this down is this discussion is into three parts. One, I'll spend some time on the financial markets in general. Number two, I'll spend some time on banking. And banking, just for clarity for many of us here, I'll break it into two parts, the liability part of the banking and the assets part of the banking, because the dynamics have changed dramatically on both the sides. After that, we'll spend some time on the macros and what's happening in the macro and how could it impact us. And before even I start, let me caveat this, friends. I am not an expert at all. And what has happened is, in this 45 days, all those people who thought were experts and knew exactly what's happening, I think those days are over. This is a new real. What is also evident is there's been a huge, and let me just zoom in on the financial markets now. It is very, very evident that disruption of across the financial markets is something that's been so severe that probably, and this is world over, not just in India, that probably we might not and hope not see ever in our lifetime at all, nor in the next few generations. It is also very, very clear that people who understand the financial situation now, or have a reasonable idea, and who will be ahead of the curve in terms of understanding, who will be able to find opportunities in this adversity, will be able to sustain through this tough period, and then subsequently, when the opportunity comes, thrive. But what will be clearly important is to understand the risks that are there in the system. And unless and until financial institutions don't assess the risks on a dynamic, real-time situations, I think they'll be out of business. I understand there are a lot of research analysts here. Trust me, friends, all the business models that one would have drawn, all the present cash flows, future cash flows you would have drawn and build a business model probably is being challenged now. Because none of us had bargained for what is happening currently and will happen. Of course, it didn't help that India as an economy was not necessarily in the best of shape over the last 6-8 months, if not more. And what COVID has done is actually maybe pushed us back. And it is for us as professionals to collectively and individually think of ways and means of moving forward. And trust me, friends, while of course there is a narrative about what needs to be done, what is the stimulus that needs to be offered, but I think what's going to happen is there will be disruptors that will emerge out of this. There will be disruptors who will seize this opportunity and move forward. There'll be disruptors in the marketplace, whether worldwide or in India. And I'll come back to India, who have actually seized opportunities earlier and will actually not only sustain, will thrive. Let me give you 3 clear examples. And there are plenty of examples around us, but because we have paucity of time and there's so much more to cover, let me put out 3 examples. We had the demon a couple of years back. As you are aware, what happened in the demon was the economy got formalized. A lot of cash had to move to banks. Now, in our own company, we launched what is called an 811. An 811 was a simple mobile app where you could just open an account in 2 minutes. Traditionally, if all of us had to open an account, it would take, you'd go to a bank or the banker would come to you, you would hand over the documents. It would take anywhere from 3 to 7 days, depending upon the institution. Through the Aadhaar mode, what the 811 did was you could actually download an account in 2 minutes and you could have an account and you could transfer money. Trust me, for us, this was a game-changing moment. Example number 2. And I know this has been talked about lots, but it is so relevant in the current context. Jio. Well, Reliance was a company which was formed in 1973. Traditionally, it was into textile business, polychem business, all of that over this period. 5 years back, they thought of a disruptive idea and launched Jio Mobile. And just 5 years back, friends, what the last few weeks have taught us is there is plenty of life during COVID period also. So remember, I spoke about pre-COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. That during COVID period, the kind of investments that Jio has seen, Reliance as a firm has seen, it has completely transformed a brick and mortar company into today a technology company. The market cap, as we talk today, is 10 lakh crores. Friends, trust me, a brick and mortar company converting itself into a real technology company over the last 5 years and getting those fancy valuations. In your own learning space, the third example, in your own learning space, you have Byju's. While the jury is still out, is the content right or wrong? Is it adequate? Is that the right way to do it? I mean, there are various versions. Byju is a classic example of how online education for kids has got transformed and how. Valuations. Fourth example, and this is an example which I thought I must share with you, is Zoom, which all of us are using currently. A couple of years back, all of us had our own modes of communication on video. We had Cisco. We used to do WhatsApp calls. Honestly, during COVID times, Zoom is the new normal, not just in India, not just domestic use, professional use, across the world, schools, colleges, etc. And all this in a period of really 45 to 60 days, Zoom has shot up. The valuation of Zoom has shot up. Today, Zoom is a $20 billion company. And trust me, these are live examples around us. And there are multiple examples around us. But these are 4 clear-cut examples that I thought I must present with you. And financial services needs to take a cue from all of this. We will have to create disruptive ideas. Tough times, yes, but we will have to create disruptive ideas. Let me just shift the focus slightly to banking. And once again, as I mentioned, I'll break this into 2 parts. The liability side and the asset side. But before even I proceed, there are 3 key risks for banking. One, what is called credit risk. One, what is duration risk, and the third, what is called spread risk. No rocket science, but I'll still repeat it again. Credit risk, when you lend money. Duration risk, when banks invest money. And third, and the third is the spread risk. Now, banks that will survive through the storm are those banks who manage these three risks well. Honestly, friends, we are like a boat in the middle of a storm. The storm could be in a river or could be in a sea, but how we sustain through this period is going to be extremely important. The banks that are going to be ahead of curve, innovate, be agile, will be the banks that will actually thrive in the years to come. Let's go back. Let's step back slightly. Traditionally, for many of us, I'm not saying for, I'm sure a lot of people here use a lot of online methods, etc. But I'm talking of the large populace that the country has. Many of us still believe that banking is about walking into a bank, ensuring services are delivered personally. There's a banker, there's a relationship manager, or there's an officer who delivers either services or products or executes a transaction within a branch. Once again, I'm saying some of it might be relevant to this group, some of this might not, but I'm talking of the large population of India. However, what the last 45 days has taught us is it has made us challenge the traditional model. It has made us challenge the way banking is done, the way we engage with our customers, the way we guide our customers in terms of a distress is completely changed on the liabilities side. A lot of our engagement with the client is remote now. A lot of our advisory to our clients is done remote now. As many of you are aware, banks was an essential service and we had our officers coming into our branches, but we are all working at 30 or 50% rostering. But through this process, during COVID period, there has been very little disruption to the activity. The technology at the back end has stepped up dramatically. Yes, probably because of business activity is not moving at the desired pace, that some parts of the bank, the transaction volumes must have gone down on the current account side. But on the savings side, the transactions are equally good or better, because people sitting at home are now looking at their bank accounts and looking at their finances. And what a better time than actually focus on your finances. We have a large call center. What we have done and used this time is actually our call center is proactively calling customers, updating them about the frauds that have been hitting the country over the last 12-24 months, guiding them through the process on the do's and the don'ts, actually helping them through the transactions, their billing transactions, etc. Actually helping them with their investments, their SIPs, predominantly a large portion. And we've actually seen the volumes, the transaction volumes go up almost 4x of what would normally be done during COVID period on the savings account side. Of course, on the current account side, since the economic activity is not there, the transactions are very little. It's down. What I would like to highlight here is because people are at home, we have actually seen a surge in the deposits over the last 40 days. And I'll come back to this later, because we and banks in general will be compounded with a problem of surge in deposits. And we've seen a huge surge in our deposits over the last month. Now let me move to the asset side. Obvious, there's very little economic activity and hence there is no need for money. Assets is about the lending business. There's very little or no need for money. There are few customers, of course, who are taking money, but very few customers require money. Of course, enough and more has been spoken about the moratorium. A lot of it is written, read, discussed. The jury is still out whether that moratorium is going to be for 3 months or Will it be extended for 6 months? But with economic activity almost shut, there is no lending that's happening. Business is being under stress. How do we manage this situation? So look at it from a bank's perspective. There is surge of deposits that's coming in, and there is no place to lend. Having said that, let me highlight, and which is important for a lot of professionals to know. A lot of good customers who have who are leveraged are actually paying back their money. People who are leveraged more than what they would normally are actually under real stress. Well, there is exuberance that creeps in, and there's a thin dividing line between confidence and exuberance. And some of those exuberance is obviously impacting their own business models. The jury is still out. What will happen there? So coming back from a bank's perspective, here we are. On one hand, there is a surge in deposits. On the other hand, there's very little money to deploy. There are very little demand for us to deploy. And the dilemma, and let me focus on the couple of dilemmas that the banks face now. Do I put money on stressed assets, tough assets at a slightly higher rate? Or is this the time to shrink the balance sheet size? That's one big dilemma. Dilemma number two is, if I were to deploy this money in government securities with RBI, obviously the returns are not there, but the interest rates on deposits that needs to be paid out to customers, and the customers are through multiple age groups. You have students, you have normal customers, you have professionals, salaried, and of course senior citizens, and all of them cannot be bracketed into one. How do you sustain the rate of interest? How much does Treasury do? What is the interplay as far as Treasury is concerned? But one thing is clear. The underwriting of assets now and in the future will see a dramatic change. The banks will exercise huge amount of prudence. The banks in underwriting, the banks will have to move to technology-based underwriting, especially if all of us are going to be in and out of our workplaces, whether it's in our colleges, whether it's in our offices, whether it's in our own manufacturing units, wherever. Probably the ability for us to talk, engage with our banker personally, what we would normally do, might be reduced, at least in the near future. So for us as a bank and for the consumer, whether he is a corporate consumer or a retail consumer, how do we engage? What happens to the CIBIL rating system? Is that going to be the only yardstick for underwriting credit? Those are the challenges. And very clearly, what is coming out is, banks normally use fintechs for doing a lot of their work, internal work. And yes, we would outsource and say, yes, the fintechs will do this for us, develop the system quickly, and then we can get this going. It can be go to market. I think banks will go a dramatic change. Banks will have to become fintech companies. You'll have to be agile. You'll have to be ears close to the market. The speed to the market and go to the market time will have to be crunched. We have no choice, because it's not just about sustenance. It's about sitting through this period and actually building a business model in the future. And trust me, friends, banks with deep pockets, if they don't have, even if banks with deep pockets, if they don't get the strategy right here, there might not be a business model. A lot of us actually are spending a lot of time just doing that now. Of course, there's one part of the bank which is run the bank, which is ensuring the bank is safe, risks are there, risks are taken care of. There is also one part of the bank which is actually looking for a new world order in the financial services space. And very soon, there could be disruptive products, there could be disruptive delivery mechanisms because the market is forcing us to do. Just to give you a perspective, and this is for all the research guys who do the financial modeling, there is about a total of 100 lakh crores of loan book in the marketplace. I repeat, the loan book of all banks put together is about 100 lakh crores. If you were to do an NPV of that 100 lakh crores today in the midst of moratorium, people not paying up, etc., you can make your guess. Having said that, I think what's going to be important is how well you are collateralized. And if you have underwritten well, you have followed prudent norms, there's nothing to worry. And this is something that we are constantly evaluating, constantly seeing. Has our underwriting been correct? Have we ensured that we have underwritten well? So we covered financial markets in general. We covered banking. We'll just spend some time, and I know I'm running short of time. We'll just spend the next few minutes on the macros. The best buzzword now is what is the likely GDP? Because ultimately all of us understand GDP. One may debate whether the number is right, wrong, is the basis right? But I think what is going to be important is what is the way forward? Kotak put out a research report yesterday where we said the GDP could actually slip into negative territory during COVID period. We are actually saying it could slip to -2. And if this event procrastinates, we could be in deep red. So I think this is something that all of us need to be worried about. The note actually talks about the migratory labor actually forms 34% of the non-farm labor force in the country. So which means people who are migrating forms 34% of the non-farm labor force. Now, if this data is true, and if the migrants will take some time to come back to SMEs, industries, etc., we need to ensure that economic activity, we need to factor in that there will be the economic activity time will take some time to pick up very, very clearly, actually. On the other side, there's a huge hue and cry for the financial stimuli from the government. And the reality also is that there is no revenue for the government. I mean, we all know it. GST collections have not been where it is today, where the government wanted it today, and it's been rapidly deteriorating. March was okay. April was a low, and May could be bad. Now, if the revenues are not there, where does government have a financial package? How do they fund that financial package? I think the other important point is government, of course, has put out a borrowing calendar yesterday. They said we will go out and borrow about 6.1 lakh crores in H1, the first 6 months of this year. And for the year, they'll borrow about 12 lakh crores, which is really up from 7.8 lakh crores of what they borrowed last year. But the key question, friends, is how is this debt going to be serviced? And hence it's important that as in when either during COVID period or after COVID period, there has to be a V-shaped recovery. Now there are multiple versions of V, W, etc. Because since as long as the vaccine is not found, will there be stress? There could be stress. But I think if that's going to be the new normal, all of us will have a workaround, we'll find a workaround for that. So how is the government going to fund this borrowing is going to be important. I'll spend a little bit of time on the equity markets. We all know the equity markets have been yo-yoing. The equity markets have been through ups and downs. Any good news, one small bit of good news, it just spikes. And then subsequently, there's a deep cut the subsequent days. Having said that, let me tell you one thing. While the Nifty is down YTD about 23% now, I think, world markets are also down. The Dow is down by about 15%. Nikkei is down by about 16%. FTSE is down by about 24%. So we have enough company here. Having said that, what is surprising is that the mutual funds continue to see a reasonable inflow into their overall kitty. There has been outflows in the debt funds, but equities, and especially this has been led by SIPs. SIPs have shown a steady flow. It's not necessarily up, but it's been flattish. Now, if that's the scenario, it also means that either A, the existing SIP customers like all of us, like many of us in this group probably are continuing an SIP because we understand that this is not the best time to pull out the SIPs. And two, there are also some new customers coming in, and my mutual fund company tells me a lot of new mutual fund portfolios that have been created. New customers are coming in, which is interesting once again. Because of the fact that corporates have not been able to deploy money, we are seeing money coming into the corporate bond funds also. Because what do they do with the money, the surplus cash that is there? We're seeing money coming in. But the good news, friends, is that there is equity flows are still coming in, and all of us know equities generally are ahead of the curve. They know there is likely to be end of the tunnel, and some positive news and few companies, and let's be clear, the good companies are producing decent results. While their guidance might not be good, they're producing decent results. And I think that's giving the confidence to the savvy, smart investors to invest money. And that's where I think for individual portfolios, the asset allocation is going to be extremely important. There has to be a reasonable amount of debt, equity, cash, and some in gold as well. And this 45 days has taught us what gold can do to anyone's portfolio. So friends, as I conclude, I just thought I'll leave before we get into Q&A with 3 or 4 key thoughts. We are, of course, in tough, unprecedented times. But the opportunity for each one of us is, what is the disruptive thought? What is the innovative idea? And whatever we do as a student, as a research assistant, or as professionals that we bring on the table to ourselves or to the country as a whole will actually set the trend for the future. And disruptive ideas over centuries have always paid off, and paid off big time. Probably there's also time for us, as the government is putting in place their entire machinery to deal with industrial production in this era, is all of us as citizens of the country owe it to ourselves that we need to put all our hands is in place, all hands on the deck. No more armchair critics, friends. No more TV debate. A country like Japan has demonstrated what they could do after the Hiroshima-Nagasaki bomb blast. After that catastrophe, the way that country bounced back. And there are many such examples. I think we as a country will have to pull in together and deliver for our country. Number 3, and I'm repeating this again, watch for disruptors. In the midst of all this gloom and doom that a lot of people are painting, and I'm not in that camp at all. Watch out in the corner for disruptive ideas. Our own Kotak's 811, Jio, Zoom, Ola, Baiju were some of the disruptive ideas which has paid huge results. Watch out for them. What is that innovative idea that you will create? And last but not the least, period, only those who sustain through this period will thrive in the future, and they will thrive. All the best. Thanks so much for listening. I hope it was useful. Take questions now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
For question and answer, I request all the participants to anyone who has questions, just raise your hand so that we can put up your question to the speaker.
Yes, Dr. Swaminathan, very good morning, and it's a really pleasure to hear you. Very
Thank you, sir.
Well-noted speech. Sir, I have a question that at this critical juncture, you made a mention that many customers are repaying back also, and deposit also is going back. But there are expenses, the variable and fixed. So variable expenses, which is short-term in nature, short-term borrowings in the form of working capital naturally is not availing, so it's easy to surrender. But the companies who have already invested in the fixed assets, that's a long-term borrowings, it is absolutely difficult for them to dilute their assets and repaying the bank and financial institutions loan. This is my observation question, that how this fact can be addressed. Yes. Another is because of I personally feel that government is going through the financial crunch. That is why they have announced only 0.8% of GDP, that is 1,70,000 crores, whereas the developed wealthy nations, 20% of GDP, 15% of GDP, USA even the $30 trillion economy is a 10% of GDP, that is $3 trillion. So in this situation, I think the banks and non-banking financial corporations will have to play a very major role to take it forward.
Yeah.
Now, in the market, the two aspects is, one is the demand and another is the supply. Now, the demand side is very easy to give loan depending on the net worth and the promoter's contributions. But in the supply side, the supply side, it is like this, but the demand side is the consumer loan, which largely depends on the middle class and lower middle class and poor class. As you said, the migrant labor is 34%. Now, many of them, large portion of them are jobless now. Absolutely. So if they do not have a job, if they do not have earnings, I'm sure the banks will not lend money, because Absolutely. Banks and financial institutions lend mostly to the wealthy companies or wealthy individuals. If I have money, if I have earnings, then only I get loan. Otherwise not. So this balancing factor, how it will be done, the demand side, because manufacturing is one easy, but inventory pile-up will be there taking place unless these poor people, they do not participate in the market. If their purchasing power does not increase, if their disposable income does not increase, Because at this point of time, I think they are getting free rations, and whatever
Absolutely.
the 1,000 rupees if they are getting in hand, they will be spending only their basic necessities.
Correct.
Dal, chawal, and so how this balancing factor will be?
No, so I think so. Very well put. But I think honestly, is there a direct answer? There is no answer, because I think what the government is trying to do. Okay, I think the moratorium one, the way version 2 in each of our software, I think the government will have to have a moratorium 2.0 also probably. Okay, and how efficiently they run the moratorium 2.0. And this is answering to your first question, sir. Okay, and I'll come to the second one. Okay, there'll have to be a moratorium 2.0 very clearly, and if there is going to be a forbearance, there has to be skin in the game of the government. They cannot leave it to the financial institutions just to we all understand. Let's be practical, sir. Okay. While genuinely a lot of people are impacted because of the want the moratorium because they're impacted, the business are impacted, where they don't have the ability. But a lot of customers where intention is an issue, okay, take umbrage of the moratorium and defer their payments. Okay. Now, unless and until the banks and financial, why just banks? I'm talking financial institutions in general, because everybody lends. The larger economy, the larger financial institutions lend. Unless and until there is no clarity for them in terms of if there's going to be a forbearance for the citizen of the country, for the manufacturing units of the country, how is the government going to back it up? We will be in the state of no man's land, sir. You're absolutely right. We will be in the state of no man's land. And that's why very clearly, is that 1.7% of GDP enough, or do you go out and print more notes? Is the $1 million question. US did that. US does that multiple times. And honestly, if you look at US's fiscal deficit, it's nothing great. But just because sheer size of the economy, I think they're able to manage it. The fear also our government has is the moment we break the fiscal deficit. There is that FRBM Act. We have taken some cushion and said we'll defer it for another couple of years or so. But the biggest fear is the rating agencies. Will they downgrade us? If they downgrade us, will the investments come into us? I think that's the biggest fear all of us have. The government has. I mean, none of us, either you, me, or all the people in this group, none of us want to be either in the finance minister's chair right now or the RBI governor's chair right now. It's much easier said than done. The way forward, the way I see it from here is the government has to step in. There has to be government skin in the game to this process right now. Right now, it's not there. Let me attempt to answer your question number 2, sir. You spoke about migrant laborers, lending. Yeah, just a small clarification, sir. Yes, of course, we would prefer lending to customers who can, to wealthy customers, but we don't necessarily lend to all wealthy customers. Sir. All our customers are not wealthy. I mean, we are proud that we have customers from across section. Yeah, once again, what is important is the difference between ability to pay and intention to pay. Wealthy customers also intention to pay could be a problem. And we have enough examples now in the public domain now. And a lot of good customers, so-called middle class customers, pay absolutely fine even during this tough period, actually. So we are ready, sir. I mean, the products will be different. As I spoke about those 3 risks, credit risk, duration risk, and spread risk. As long as it fits into that framework, it's fine, sir, actually. We're more than happy to lend. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
India's, as far as the inherent strength is still quite strong. I find that $470 billion foreign exchange reserves are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But actually what happened in India faced a financial crisis earlier also. And they had gone for the resurgent Indian bonds, Indian millennium bonds overseas. But that time the condition of the wealthy countries were quite good.
Absolutely.
Market condition was good. But at present, I think it will be very difficult to borrow funds because World Bank chief also recently said that 175 countries have applied for emergency loan.
Emergency loan, that's right.
Loan. And India has already got now $1 billion sanctioned, but that is a period. That's nothing much.
Sir, one bright spot could be, and I'm just thinking aloud as I'm talking to you, could be the Indian industries outside also. But if we can get a lot of money from them, of course, we have enough foreign exchange reserves, there's enough reserves reserves that we have. But still, if we could pull in some more money from them, I think that could be useful. It could be easier to deploy because they're still sitting on lots of cash, whether it is at the lower end, middle, or higher end. The government will really have to think out of the box. Sir. This is not going to be conventional economics. And that's why I said a lot of researchers on this group would have built their financial.
You said that disruptive thinking and disruptive technology. That's why.
Absolutely. And there's something that we're constantly thinking.
But Moody's rating already have downgraded India's.
Yeah.
And India has taken away the reserve funds from the Reserve Bank of India also, which Correct. I don't know will adversely affect the individual sovereignty of RBI. And Correct. It may have adverse impact on the countries.
Yeah, so that's the worry the government has. We don't want a down rating of the economy, actually. Yeah. That's the biggest worry the government has.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sure the participants have been immensely benefited out of because of your knowledge and very structured way you are delivering this lecture.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Sir, we have our next question from Mr. V.K. Singh. I request the host to please unmute the participant, Mr. V.K. Singh.
Sir, next. Excuse me. Varun, sir?
Yes, sir.
Next.
Mr. V.K. Singh.
Next.
Next is Dr. Anupam Mandloi.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Sir, is it audible?
Yeah, it is audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Hello.
Yeah, you are audible, sir. Please go ahead.
Hello. I think it's a network problem with there. So please continue with somebody else. Thank you. Please take up another question.
Okay. I request the host to please unmute Dr. Anupam Mandloi.
No, this is V.K. Singh. This is V.K. Singh.
Sir, you are audible. You can raise your question.
Sir,
we are able to hear you.
Hello.
Sir, we are able to hear you. Yes, sir. We are able to hear you. You can raise your question.
Hello.
Sir, we are able to hear you.
Hello.
Varun, sir? Anupam?
Sir.
Anupam ji.
Anupam Mandloi. हाँ जी.
Hello. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. My question is in this present scenario,
I think there is a network problem from their end.
With attracting the venture capital and angel investors. In this present scenario, how startup should attract angel investor?
Yeah, sir, while your voice was blurred, but I think I picked up the last part of what you asked, and you might just want to nod your head if I understood you correctly. Okay. Capitalist is what you're saying. And how do you keep the startup mode going is what you're saying. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So let me attempt to answer this question, sir. There are people, while the economy is not in good shape. Let me assure you enough, sir, that there are venture capitalists who are looking for good ideas and bright ideas. And there will be no dearth of money, sir, because all said and done, they've raised the funds. They have funds in the banks. They're waiting to be deployed. If they spot a bright, brilliant, disruptive idea, I don't foresee them not investing. I don't foresee a problem at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Okay. Sir, we have another question from Dr. Suhas Dande. I request host to please unmute the response.
Hello. Good morning, sir. Sir, I would like to ask you only one thing, that like other industries, especially like service industries like transport, hospitality, and other industries, banking industry is not going to bear huge amount of losses even after this lockdown period. So I just want to know that what kind of advisory you are going to give to your banks, or it is expected to issued by the other banks also after opening the lockdown period to deal with the customers. Am I audible, sir? Anish sir, please, Swaminathan sir ka audio on kare, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. No, the question that you had, and because first half I didn't get it properly, let me just repeat once again so that we are on the same page. You said a lot of industries, travel, tourism, etc., have been impacted. Banking has not been, probably has not been impacted, is what you said.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, sir.
And how do you see life post-COVID era, right?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I think, while of course, what is there in public domain is what is the tourism industry or the travel industry, etc., has been impacted. Trust me, even those banks who have not underwritten credit properly will have issues, sir. And I'm sure banks who would have not followed the proper prudent norms will be under stress already. They would be counting how they need to tackle it. Because a pandemic like this doesn't leave anybody, sir. It's across the board. I mean, there's no place to hide really, actually, right? But otherwise, as an advisory, and I will repeat what I mentioned during what I spoke, is I think from an individual investor, for his own portfolios, savings, etc., asset allocation is going to be extremely important. More so in the near future. The way you distribute your money between debt funds, equity funds, direct equities, gold, cash, how you have an allocation within those asset classes is important, and please stick to it. There will be times when the debt market is doing well, you would want to move money from here to there to here, but maintain a basic discipline. I think that's important. From an institution's point of view, from a corporate point of view,
yes,
I think the golden rule, exuberance doesn't pay in the long run. I think that mantra is important. And unless and until, as institutions, we don't have that mantra, we don't imbibe that mantra, and more so in the current times, I think we'll all be dead, sir. I know this is a very strong statement, but we'll all be dead, sir.
Yes, yes. So
I
just want to know, yes, sir. I just want to know regarding your management's advisory for operations of bank, because customers will be definitely rush to the banks, and they will be going to banks for their requirements. So
Correct.
In that case, what would be the advisory from the bank side?
Okay. So as I mentioned, even during these tough times, this 45 days, our banks were working full-fledged. Yes. Unless and until that an area was in a red zone or a red zone, even then, we had limited staff working. We worked on a rostering system where anywhere from 30 to 60, 70% of the staff was always there in the bank branch. So we don't anticipate any problems. We will handhold our customers. Technology is going to play a big part. We don't anticipate a problem at all, actually.
Yes.
And we are in touch with our customers. Regular communication helps, actually. Thanks.
Varun sir, director sir wants to ask something.
Sir, I think your speech and your knowledge has really overwhelmed us. So I am not able to, this thing's my temptation to ask more and more questions, particularly the banking sector. It's just a related question. You had made a mention that your deposit, not many depositors are coming, but deployment of funds is becoming an issue now for the time being. Whether it will not adversely impact the profitability of the banks, and if it is so, then whether the banking organizations all together approaching the Basel norms and also that not to classify that advances as a NPA, because NPA is a very crucial issue. I mean, if the 3 months interest is not recovered, then your asset becomes a standard, substandard, doubtful and loss assets. So to reverse those norms for the particular this emergency time, that you give a 6 months period or 1 year period, even if the interest is recovered, which can be compounded and recovered at a later date. Because many of the banks, in RBI also has, I think, come out with a circular that we can defer the EMI. But of course, the interest has to be recovered.
Absolutely. So no, sir, I think you're absolutely right. You're absolutely pingo, actually. We will have to do that. I think this will require a huge policy change, whether nationally at an RBI level with the regulator here or internationally also. Because at the end of the day, all countries are impacted. I'm sure at some point in time, it's a level playing field everywhere. And if it's going to be a level playing field, then some of these norms will have to be revisited once.
Yes, right. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. I guess we have one last question for the day.
Sure.
The question is coming from Dr. Shweta Talisra.
Yeah.
I request host Dr. Shweta.
Yeah, Dr. Shweta, go ahead. Dr. Shweta.
Dr. Shweta.
डॉक्टर श्वेता बोल रहे हैं शायद
Sir, next part. Sir, I think this is the wrong partner. It's Dr. Shweta Talisra.
Sir, not available, sir, participant. Next.
Okay. Dr. Deepa Joshi. Dr. Deepa Joshi. Ma'am, you can raise your question. Dr. Deepa Joshi.
Dr. Deepa Joshi.
I think she's not there.
I think
or she's not able to access.
Next. Varun sir, next.
We have Sachin Sarda. Sachin Sarda. Mr. Sachin Sarda.
Sachin sir, go ahead. Sachin sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we are able to hear you. Please put up your question.
No, I don't want to ask any question more.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Oh.
So, are we done?
I guess we are done with the question and answer.
Okay, wonderful.
This was really informative, sir. The knowledge, the information we have received on the finance sector, talking about the new normal or maybe the game changers, the disruptive innovations which we are looking for, how the definition of banking is going to change and how technology is actually going to help us and how we are going to invade everything in the new normal. So
Absolutely.
I believe we have all gained a very good understanding about the financial part of the economy, how we'll be living post this lockdown. I would say that we need more Abhimanyu's kind of character in this era, who would be, going and breaking through this Chakravyuh. So without a fear of winning or losing the game, we just need people who can be acting as Chakravyuh. We need startups who would be acting as Chakravyuh to keep the economy growing. And
Absolutely.
on behalf of management, on behalf of CDGI, on behalf of the team conference, I really thank you and I appreciate that you have given us time. I especially acknowledge Mr. Abhiram Bise. Heartful thanks from team CDGI to Mr. Abhiram Bise for helping us to contact you and to have you with us. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure interacting with you guys. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, Varun sir, go ahead.
So we have with us another speaker, Dr. Ankit Katrodia. He's a lecturer at Northwest University at South Africa. He has completed his postdoctoral research fellowship with University of KwaZulu-Natal, a graduate school of business and leadership from Durban, South Africa. He's a qualified doctorate in management, MBA in marketing and MCom marketing, FDPM from IIM Ahmedabad, and he's a postgraduate in human resource management. He is accomplished and enthusiastic academician with having a rich experience of around 11 years at renowned management institutes. Has a successful track record of educating and training management graduates, developing skills and expertise in management. He examines and supervises doctoral thesis and has master's dissertations, and he has got more than 30 research publications under him. I request Dr. Ankit to please continue with this session, and I'm handing over the session to you. Welcome, Dr. Ankit.
So the business has to be changed the way it was used to be operation before. There will be a concept called joint family, the importance of living together, the relationship between the neighbors, those kind of relationship will back to a routine life. Moving next slide, the future of the business is innovation will take place. The customer will still be frightened to visit the shopping mall to go to the crowd or the market area. So the again, individual, we call mom and pop store concept, will require to keep a social distancing. It will take time to re-establish a hospitality sector because still many of the people now realize that health is important and the restaurant business need to design a strategy where take away free home delivery so that those people can also keep place in the market. Education sector also required a more innovation strategy that there should be a relationship between a professor, academic and the students, and how the both can connect digitally. An institute need to invest into a software, a system where exam, assignment, various academic activity can be taken place digitally. In terms of banking sector, each and every customer required to understand mobile banking, e-banking. So nowadays, the scenario has been changed and the way of the business will be operate. There not be a physical touch. There not be any kind of gathering or get together, but still economy will continue survive. Still the economy can be growing. Moving to the next slide, there should be a difference in terms of model. Previously, profit was the priority, and now sustainability, how to keep sustain, is the most important. Previously, management only has the decision-making power, but now leadership style, autocratic, democratic, and all those theory X, theory Y of the management will back to implementation. As I have explained you earlier that the business will open on a customer-centric point, need to understand the customer value. There will not be a huge profit margin. There will be a narrow or the small profit, though business need to keep upgrade, keep continue production and operation department. The way to communication has been changed. Email, social media, those kind of technology can be implemented. And they need to understand the model called internet, intranet, and extranet, so they can involve external parties to directly deal with a business person. So there will be many changes into the business operation. Education is still in demand, but they do not need a simple person who qualified for MBA, but they need a person who can work on digitally, who can work on e-commerce, so that there was an era where students can go for specialization in marketing, finance. Now, the various specialization can be offered according to the demand of the market. In terms of new business model, the traditional aspect of the business, if we talk about the 4 P's of the marketing, price, place, people, product, they now need to be changed. They need to be modified the concept. The people is there, but in terms of the behavior of the people is most important. Process is there, but there should be an online process. Product will be there, but there will be like a Flipkart, Amazon, many e-commerce websites will be coming to the market in the near future, so that people can save the time, save the money. And the most important thing is that consumer decision-making process is already changed. There used to be a time the people go for shopping on weekend and they go for outside for the dinner. Now the time is there, they prefer to stay at the home within the family and enjoy the around environment, enjoy within the family. So the entertainment sources is changed. There will be a less corruption. There will be a many aspects where we can see the change in the near future. It will take time to reduce the unemployment, and it's a global problem. Unemployment is the problem of South Africa, India, USA, and the many other developed countries. So they need to find out how we can increase the job opportunity and provide the more job to the youth. There used to be a time where morning 8 to 5, that was the job working hours. Now it's a flexible. You need to provide a solution to the customer 24/7, a digital platform, many other mode of the communication will be emerged in a near future. The corporate office, and now you can work from home, use the office equipments, use the device which can provide the support to the customer, and internet technology, telecommunication sector is now more in demand. So that was my observation based on the situation globally we called coronavirus COVID-19. Let me take the example of the education systems in South Africa versus India. I have seen many changes in recently that we have a technology where we call WorkVoice, where we upload the video, our material slide, exam paper, quiz, and the various other teaching and learning related information. So the students can access anytime. The video can be recorded there. Students can read, listen at a later stage. Exam is now conducting online. We have a various chat group where students can log their query and we can answer to the question. In terms of shopping behavior, we are back to the normal life, but still people are frightened to go out. So the market shopping is not busy as it was before. There is a concept called health, where each and every shopping mall outside is a health practitioner. They can check the temperature before you go to the shopping mall inside. They can ask you whether you have any kind of blood pressure, blood sugar. So they try to check number of the people and try to stop the virus as soon as they can possible. The people have changed their behavior in terms of saving-based economy. In most of the Western countries, a weekly pay structure. So the people are not used to saving like the Indian economy. So now they habitate that at least 25 to 30% of your income you can save, because future is total uncertain. Also, the government made a various provision to provide a social grant, pension to the senior citizen. We made a contract with the telecommunication sector So the students can log into the education website without any internet, without any data. So most of the students can continue teaching with no cost. So the government made a contract that related to education website. They can be referred, they can be download the material. There is no internet required for that particular website. So that was the initiative by the education department. In terms of digital platform, the bank can call the customer who don't have a mobile banking. They help them to convert to operate mobile banking, and they can help them. So the customer no need to come physically for the any banking related transaction. So this is the first time the situation what we have faced last 2 to 3 months that teach us many lessons of the life apart from the economy, in our personal life, in our professional life. And we can say that simplicity is the best policy. And as we have seen pollution level came down, we believe that birds, animal and other are also a living entities. They have equal right to live as human. So this was all about my observation, my kind of analysis of the situation what we have called COVID-19. Now let me take you to the another aspect of the situation about the businesses. As we are now into the 21st century, in the MBA days, we used to teach globalization. This concept now need to be redesigned. A country called India, many countries like USA, Canada, they need to learn many things from India. It's not always that we can learn from the developed nation. India has many things, values, ethics, our own business models, a Chanakya from the Mahabharata. So that our ancient philosophy, our ancient education can teach us the many values. Look at the lesson from the Ramayana. Lord Ram and Sita went for the Vanvas. So think that this time is temporary. It will teach us the new lesson and we need to carry on our life to the next level. Look at the lesson from the Mahatma Gandhi ji, even from Nelson Mandela from South Africa. So the many freedom fighters, they have struggled. So there is nothing impossible. This is the time is temporary and we will come out from the situation. But the model of the academic, the model of the business will be redesigned and we will learn a new the way of operation, the way of relationship in the upcoming days. So I think that was my talk for the today. And now we go for a few question and answer. And then we can see how much time still we have. But I thanks to all those people who joined this afternoon. I can say morning because only we 9 a.m. in South Africa because 3.5 hours time difference between India and South Africa. And thanks Dr. Varun and the entire team for this initiative. And this is the only platform where we can share the knowledge and skill of the different countries. I once again thank you. I am still with you to take some question answer.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ankit. Do we have any questions as of now? Audience, if you have any questions, please raise your hand, put the raise hand option so that we can take your questions from there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Unmute. Good morning, Ankit ji. Very nice to hear you. My very specific question that in the education sector, now whether is a digitized teaching totally or is a hybrid teaching, the digital and online as well as offline, and particularly relevant in the higher technical educations, if we do not resort to offline, the physical experimentations in the labs and the workshops, then how this can be overcome and changed? This is one first question. It will not take much time. That's why I want to add on the second question also. You had mentioned about the e-commerce and online trading. Now, as we see now in India, that is restricted to only in the cities and the urban areas. But India is a country with a huge rural populations, rural areas and semi-urban areas where still there is a problem of networking, internet connectivity. How do you visualize that these can be overcome if we go for online? If you have to encourage e-commerce in the entire length and breadth of the country. Very recently during the lockdown period, we have noticed in India, the moment state governments were hard pressed to boost up their revenue collections, they opened the liquor shops and thousands of thousands, they broke the rules and they gathered, started jostling around to collect their prize piece of bottle. On account of which Supreme Court immediately came into action and no guidelines, but only requested the states that please go for online sales. So I am sure that that will not restrict to the cities. It will be entire length and breadth of the country. So how do you foresee these problems and how do corrective measures can be initiated? That's my very specific questions. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Now,
yes.
Actually, I know I'm doing mute, unmute from my side, but you know, the lab system, I don't know why today it's making some nonsense, but I think now you can hear me. The first question from the director, sir, is that how we can manage with the practical module or with the laboratory thing is that, sir, in South Africa, let me tell you how we manage to the practical modules and the laboratory experiment. Sir, here we have a 22 public university as of now. There is not a private university status as of now. Government is not going to allow any private any private university. So the model what we running is now is that we divided to the medical students or the engineering students into the group, and the students need to come on to the rotation basis. Of course, this might not be work out in India as the population and number of the students are more, but in terms of the country and in terms of the university, we are now going to do like a 10-15 students to do a laboratory experiment on Monday, and next 15-20 students, they can come to the next day. So we decided this kind of approach that they can, you know, come on to the various day as a rotation. Now coming to Professor, your next question regarding the e-commerce on how we can implement into the rural India. Sir, this situation can, for me, create an opportunity that there is a potential skill for the ladies and gentlemen in the remote rural area. So they need to find a sources of the income remotely. There are the various Indian women who living in rural area and they have a skill, they have a talent, but because of the family situation, because of not having a proper support, they're not going to come out the hidden potential skill. So we need to draw the some model that they can do, they can manufacture some handmade things at home, and we need to create a channel opposite where we call C2B, consumer to business, so that ladies while at home they can manufacture, and then the e-commerce model can promote on the website, and the people can buy from those ladies who can work from home, so that it's not only the model of the e-commerce now will B2B, but we need to think of. Can you? Yes, sir.
Yes,
Now
sir.
I think, yes, now back to normal. So this kind of model might we need to think that it will provide a more employment opportunities to the rural India. Now coming to the connectivity problem is that, as I have explained you, that most of the countries now, even India is still developing, but the developed countries, they're also having the internet connectivity problem because the load is now more. Education, business, everything is now online. So each and every country need to be a more investment in terms of telecommunication sector so the people can connect digitally. I hope this was the answer make you satisfied.
Thank you. But it is some related, connected question. Not question, it's an observation. In India at present, Amazon is the biggest player in the e-commerce sector. The Flipkart, Snapdeal, Flipkart, I presume that it has been taken over by the Walmart. And Amazon also is at the trying to take over the future group of India.
Right, sir.
So both are of foreign origin, but in Indian company taking over and developing the market, I mean, huge investment is required, and that kind of financial power, I am sure the Indian companies are lacking unless the government backing comes up or international funding.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, sir. Nowadays, sir, because of this, we need to promote our own Indian original company, and the government need to design some policy that we can promote, our Indian base. And mostly, sir, let me tell you that India is famous for family-owned business, and that's the impression of the other countries outside. Even in South Africa, many Indians who shifted during the Gandhiji's time in 18th century, and they are now a prominent business, owner in South Africa. So India is definitely a country where the business is in the blood. But somehow we need to promote those talent. We need to provide a support in terms of financially and education so that we can concept called Make in India, Made in India.
Thank you very much, Ankit ji. Thank
Sir,
you.
Okay. Do we have any? Okay, we have a question from Manish Khargonkar.
Okay, sir.
Manish sir, can you please unmute Mr. Manish Khargonkar?
Hello.
Yes, Manish sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, Manish ji, please put up your question.
Sir, good afternoon. I am thankful to Ankit sir for a very good explanation on the future of the business in India and worldwide. So, sir, in marketing, there is a survey technique that people go to door and they meet person to person and do a survey regarding their customer service or regarding the customer satisfaction. But as in future, we have to strictly maintain the social distancing, and I want to know what will be the future of this particular survey technique in future, when you must meet every person personally, and all persons are not very efficient in using the internet technology. So what will be the future of such techniques in India and worldwide? Please, guys.
Ankit sir.
Ankit sir, go ahead.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Sir, very good question, and that was also the question when I was invited as one of the speaker for 2 days ago for the conference. Sir, we as an academic, and we always wanted to go for the different conferences, whether it is a state, national, or international. And many of us have attended the conferences. The purpose of why I'm giving you this example, because that is the related to your answer. The purpose of the question is that we can go. The first is that we can meet the various academic. Second is that we can interact our research plan, and obviously a tourist to see the new place. Now today we are on the digital platform. I am in South Africa, you in India. Though this is the platform of the learning. So based on that physical touch, learning is not going to be stopped. Anyhow, it will form a new model to bring a closer. Now coming to the physical touch is that we India is people who used to touch the product before we buy. We called online versus offline shopping. We touch the product, the material, the shirt, how the quality looks like, and then we decide the cotton or any other how it's comfortable. To answer to your question, when it's come to the survey method, when it's come to a personal shop,
There is some technical issue. We'll be getting Ankit sir again. He's solving the issue.
hello.
Yes, Ankit
Yes.
sir, we are able to hear you. Yes.
Yes. So those kind of way of survey, it will be still continue. The first thing is that based on the appointment, you cannot knock the door. Like in India, you can see many salespersons, many salesmen moving on the street, and they knock the door and they said, we got the Gillette, we got that, then something. So this cannot be happen. You have to have a prior permission before you can, go to the any persons and try to conversation with them. So the appointment and the time is the most important now. The survey will be still continue based on the social distancing, based on the sanitizer, based on the face mask and so, because that's the only way where you can get the actual data about the consumer psychology, consumer decision making process. And I understand Dr. Manish, because I'm also a marketing, so what's running on your mind, I can easily read out what you're trying to say. Yes. So now this kind of survey will take a new model, and that will be coming into the near future. So I hope this answer might help you in somehow. Thank you. And we can, yes.
We have, sir, another question from Ms. Nikita. I request host to please unmute Ms. Nikita.
Good morning, sir, and good morning, everyone. Sir, thank you for the session. It was very interesting. And my question is this. Sir, as you are talking about, say, about the online-based things in digital platform, but there are various people who doesn't know how to purchase anything and how to use net, how to go for online shopping. So the life is going very tough for all of them. There are various numbers of people they comes in such category. So how long they have to struggle in such a way, and how tough the life will go for them in such way? What is your opinion about this?
Okay. Madam, we have recorded the question. We have Ankit sir would
I
be
think,
answering the same.
I think,
Yes, yes, he would be answering the same. Oh, some technical issues there. You can just wait for a minute. He will be answering.
Yes, sir. And sir, if it is on recording mode,
Hello? Yes.
Yes, Ankit sir.
Right. Okay, madam. Answer to your question. Tell me, madam, how many years we are using ATM machine, and before the ATM machine, we used to go to the bank for withdrawal, for deposit, or for any kind of banking related information. Now, we having a machine where you can print your passbook, where you can withdraw the money, where you can deposit the money. So now the people who below metrics, even the people who just like a basic education, he or she comfortable to use the ATM because he knows that this machine can work with relate to my ATM card. Now answer to your question is that India people still not understand the e-commerce model. In South Africa recently made many of the rural area, they have a tie-up with the certain market, certain super mall, certain grocery stop, and they put the machine like a ATM. On the screen, you can see like a big bazaar, for example, D-Mart, Walmart, whatever, you can touch, you can see the screen. You can go to the vegetable, you can go to the grocery, you can go to the household things. And the people can select the product, write their address, and then after you have a choice to make a payment, whether it is the online or whether it is a cash on delivery. So government need to provide this kind of machine into the certain location and tie up with particular supermarket, particular mall, where the people who don't have even mobile, people who don't have internet, they can buy the basic necessity product with this kind of machine, and every 10 to 12 kilometers we got this kind of technology where you no need to use your mobile or e-commerce. You can buy, you can create an order, and within a 24 hours the product will be delivered to your home. So there is always an opportunity to learn a new thing. That's just the example.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any more questions from the audience?
Hello.
Okay. So we will proceed with the session again. I request Dr. Suhas Dande, conference co-chair, to please propose the vote of thanks. Anish sir.
Hello. Good
Yes, sir,
afternoon,
we are
one and
able
all.
to hear you. Yes, sir.
Respected speakers of this conference, Mr. Pramod Dafaria ji, Mr. Bharat Rawat ji, and today's speaker, Mr. Swaminathan ji and Dr. Ankit Katrodia ji, Honorable Group Director, sir, Dr. Joy Banerjee, Dean, Chamalidevi Group of Institutions, Professor K.S. Jairaj, sir, Principal, Chamalidevi Institute of Pharmacy, Dr. Arun Gupta, sir, Principals and Directors of various institutes, and dear participants. On behalf of all the HOD and faculty and staff members of entire CDGI family, I, Dr. Suhas Dhande, Principal, Chamalidevi Institute of Professional Studies, deem it as a great honor to propose vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making this seminar such a resounding success. I would like to thank our distinguished speakers for today, Mr. Swaminathan ji, Joint President, Kotak Mahindra Bank Limited, and Dr. Ankit Katrodia ji, and an eminent educationalist from South African University who have devoted their prestigious time to our institute and making this seminar interesting and meaningful by their provoking thoughts. I would like to express our profound gratitude to our management, Chairman, Sir, Shri Vinod Kumar Ji Agarwal, Vice Chairman, Shri Sanjay Kumar Ji Agarwal, our Group Director, Sir, Dr. Joy Banerjee, for boosting our morale and guiding and supporting for organizing this seminar. I would like to express my special thanks to Mr. Abhinamji Bhise for their extraordinary support. I would also express my gratitude towards our advisory board members, Dr. Mangal Mishra sir, Dr. Maya Ingle madam, Dr. Sangeeta Jain madam, Professor Preeti Singh madam, for guiding us time to time. I am happy to express my heartfelt thanks to all the participants for their active participation and overwhelming response for making this seminar successful in a real manner. Almost 20 days back, when a thought incepted in my mind to organize an online national conference in this period, everyone has put, in fact, I discussed it with my colleagues and staff members, and everyone has put their 100% even during this pandemic times to make this conference a success. In fact, it would be unjustifiable to mention someone particularly because this is a collaborative effort of CDGI family. Once again, thank you all for your cordial cooperation. Thank you. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much, sir. I request Anish sir to please share the YouTube links for the conference which are available with the participants. We'll be sharing the feedback form links on the respective Gmail IDs and the WhatsApp group wherein we are in contact for past 10 days. So stay connected there. We'll be sharing the feedback links. We'll be sharing you the certificate links also from where you can download the certificate with your unique ID. Both things will be shared on your WhatsApp group and on your registered email address with us. So till that time, stay tuned. And Anish sir, I request you to please share the, yes, sir,
Yes. It's my humble request to all the participants that please fill the feedback form. It is mandatory for every participant. On that basis only, we'll be able to issue your certificates. Thank you, sir.
Anish sir, I request you to share the video links of the conference wherein participants can regain those experience and rejuvenate themselves with the thoughts of Mr. Pramod, Dr. Bharat, Mr. V. Swaminathan, and Dr. Ankit.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
And we would be sharing the certificate link for downloading the certificate and the feedback form on your respective Gmail IDs and in the WhatsApp group too. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. It was really a great experience with you all, continuously having you with us for these 2 days. And I wish you a very happy Mother's Day to everyone. We wish that our Mother Earth regain its nature the way it was, and we all enjoy and rejoice the new nature post-COVID. Thank you. That's all from our end. Thank you so much.